Welcome to Radio Free Will. We're back again with another podcast for sovereign people. Recording today in Bridgetown, New Jersey. And once again with us today is Michelle Mockers, artist, activist, and philosopher. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad, George, not too bad. I should say I feel younger than ever, if I can say so. When I start to talk like that, I feel younger.
It's a beautiful summer day today. It's hot, it's warm. How are you doing? You're feeling good?
Yeah, you know, summertime.
Heat's not getting to you?
You know, summertime. It's nice also.
So we're going to pick up where we left off last week, folks. And Michelle's been busy producing this document, The Arts of the Positive Dialectic. So you put everything together, and we're going to discuss it today.
Yeah, absolutely, if you want.
And so what is this document?
I just say one thing, that the dialectic of the arts, which exists since man put his hand on a wall in a prehistorical time, it is exactly the same method of producing pieces of art. And pieces of art, don't forget something, pieces of art, it's pieces of art, painting, everything you want, but it is also your daily life. Just imagine your life if you could not pick up a tie or the color of your shirt. Every detail, absolutely every detail of your life is invaded by the arts.
Sounds a little bit like mindfulness, doesn't it? But it also says that it replaces capitalism and communism.
For a very simple reason. They are both I don't want to say put them in the same negative ways, but the dialectic of the arts is way stronger because it is positive. When the philosophy of the United States have no philosophy, they do it as they can. You know, in fact, it has never been said when you read the Constitution. It's a beautiful monument to build up a government and how to manipulate that government, how it should work in the future. But you have absolutely nothing at all, just two words for the economy, the welfare of the people. That's it.
Pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, what is the welfare of the people? You have pages to explain how you vote, how you replace the guy who is leaving, and so on and so on. You have absolutely no explanation, nothing about economy. It was just before the Industrial Revolution. Mm-hmm. And the people who were writing the Constitution, they were not at all preoccupied, certainly not preoccupied by money. They had money, they were, let's say, comfortable people, otherwise they would not have been there, because they had to travel and come there. So they were comfortable people. We never put together a plan to have the people happy in economy. The welfare of the people, it's not what they say. And they say another thing, which means absolutely nothing, the freedom of speech and opinion.
Well, they did mention people in the Constitution. They mentioned slavery. That black people were only, 2/3?
Yeah. But that is a problem which existed before the Constitution. The problem of slavery. And let's say Mr. Jefferson had slaves. He's a white guy telling white things, but he had slaves. Don't forget that. They all were more or less people who had no, let's say, financial problems, and the welfare of the people was supposedly to be okay with the, as it was. It's supposed to be okay. They never give any rule to establish an economy for the people. They never did. No more, once more, there's two words for the freedom.
And then Karl Marx comes along and produces a document for the welfare of the people?
Yeah, you know what did happen. In fact, what did happen is that in England happened the Industrial Revolution, when they started to mechanized weaving. So that was the beginning, because what was it? It was that they were creating machines, and machines are expensive. So only the people with money could buy the machines. And when you have the machines, you can reduce the people who have no machines at your will. So that's what they did. They would build factories, and around the factories, to be sure that they had the people when they needed them, they built townships which were absolutely disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And so it's why I say, no wonder if all the workers, America, European, whatever, if all those workers, when they came with the communists, we say we will have singing mornings and everybody will laugh and blah, 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 blah. Of course, in fact, they created communism. The people with money created communism by exaggerating the use of the people with no money.
Well, you got to at least give Marx credit for thinking of the people.
Oh no, absolutely. No, absolutely. Even if you disagree with Marx, and I disagree with his philosophy if you want, but you must recognize that in many ways, not only that, it was a necessity. It was a necessity, otherwise I don't know what would have happened to the workers. You know, the first strike, to 18 hours a day of work, my dear, 6 days a week.
Children working.
Children after 3 years old, after 3, they was eventually good. That's who say that the British. Never mind, I forget that. But children after 3 years old were already susceptible to do something.
And so that brings us to today.
That brings us to today, because that brings Marxism. And Marxism, in fact, make the conquest of almost half the world, my dear, at the time. Mm-hmm. Almost half the world. Because you are more workers than people with money.
The influence is still strong today.
Absolutely. Plus you have countries like China and the countries like that who are basically Marxist. Basically, because that's another story. Marxism had a problem, there was no future.
So then, you've written the arts positive dialectic, or is that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about it before we go into the core principles?
Yeah, well, if you want, the dialectic of the arts explain how, in fact, how can I start where what? Which explain Marxism and everything. You know, the world is made of oppositions, and Marx called them contradictions. But opposition, and then when you put all those things together, the black and the white makes a gray. They make the color. You have to paint, to make a painting, you have to use your brain to conceive what you want to say, and you have to use the brushes and the tubes and the brushes to realize what you think. In other words, you materialize your thoughts. And it's where I say it is a philosophy that can put together, with no contradiction at all, something completely different, which is inspiration and manipulation of painting, if you want. Mm-hmm. So if you apply that to any problem of society, you will find that you can conceive a society. In fact, the final society conceived is like a painting. When you make a painting and you make a frame, let's say around the painting, you don't start to paint something on the wall on top of the painting or under the painting. And where I say, if you make that, it's because you have too much money on top and you have not enough money under. So, in other words, the dialectic of the arts is for, let's say, balanced society, a society with not too much and not enough.
And you have a bunch of core principles here in this document. Is there a place where people can get this
Oh
document?
yes.
Where at?
So far, they will be able to get it on internet, or to get it printed like that at my personal name. There is an address
And the website is
the website exists under the name No Pennies. Bec-
no dash
no
pennies.
dash pennies, because no dash pennies, I address the people which are more numerous than the others, who have, let's say, not big money, not money. Even some of them, no money at all. When you see kids, we go to bed with not enough to eat in the richest country in the world, come on, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it is amazing that I watched the presidential debates over the last 2 nights, and it is amazing that all the candidates talk about, oh, we need to help the immigrants coming into the country, which I don't believe in borders. I think people should be allowed to go wherever they want, but not one of them brought up homelessness and poverty in the United States. And I find it really hypocritical in that situation, with 30% of all children in the United States live in poverty.
Oh yeah, no,
That's
absolutely. You have children. I have two daughters who are teachers, and one daughter was teaching in a little black school, and she says some of the children, they don't some have pencils. You cannot buy pencils, or you cannot buy enough to eat at night, and they go to bed without enough to eat. So how can you imagine that? And it's where I go against. I say, America is a fake democracy. It's a fake democracy, because a real democracy, if you think a little of that, you have to, it's a moral concept. It's not a material concept. It's a moral concept. And to accept a moral concept, you have to understand what it means. And to understand what it means, you have to have an education. And all the children, and that is absolutely unacceptable in that richest country in the world, that all the students have to pay one way or another one to get their education. You have to pay to become a citizen. And that is not democracy, my dear.
You just gave me a good idea. Well, at least I think it's a good idea. Can I?
Oh, go ahead.
Because it just came into my head. If I don't get
No,
it out,
please.
then it will be gone. So, kids growing up in low-income neighborhoods, there's probably not even a store that sells pencils in their neighborhood. They're lucky if they can find food store in their neighborhood. So every one of those schools should have like a little bookstore that they could buy pencils and whatever school supplies they need at a subsidized price, even better. The books that they need, the paper that they need, that would be art supplies that they need, that would be a good thing. But schools don't have, private schools have that though.
Yeah, you know, for me, it's a fantastic, if you want, incomprehensible thing to say that students have to pay to finish your education. Come on, you have to pay to become what you want to be, and to be a citizen. And for years, they will owe money to the government. So what are we talking about exactly?
Welcome to America.
Welcome
Michel.
to America, exactly.
In France, they have free school.
Yeah, you have free school, and not only in France, in several countries, Swedish, I don't know. A free school, you go for free. You can go up to the last extent of your studies, you go for free. And it's normal it is normal, my dear, that if you want a democracy, you have to have people who understand what is democracy. If you don't understand, you don't explain what is life, what is philosophy, forget it.
So when you say democracy, what do you mean? Do you mean like the political system of the United States? Do you mean a democratic economy? Do you mean...
What does that mean?
What a democratic economy means the public gets to decide how the profits should be distributed.
That's a big principle.
Yeah.
And where is the reality of that after that?
Well,
When you think that you have all those big companies that don't even give, you don't even have an idea of what they do financially speaking. You know that small little island of nowhere where they all have a little, little office over there?
The
You are
Cayman
not
Islands?
yeah, you're not obliged to give, yeah, I didn't remember the name. You're not obliged to tell what you are doing. Come on, what are we talking about, my dear? Why are we in trouble with China? Who tells the big company to go and install themselves in China? Why? Why
Yeah.
did they go? Because it was less expensive and they could sell to you for less expensive, sell more, and so on and so. So it's always the same system. If it's that we call economy.
The majority of the Democratic candidates in the debates said that China was the biggest threat to the United States.
Of course.
Why?
Because
Why, if they're all harping about capitalism, how come they can't handle the free market that China is playing by?
My dear, once more, why were we in China? Why did we go to China? All those big companies installed themselves in China
Cheap labor.
because it was cheaper. Instead of paying $10, you were paying $1. So if you pay $1, you can sell your shirt $5 instead of $10.
Right.
And that's it. That's the whole story. So now it goes back on their head. Eh?
Why do they allow immigration into the country? Cheap labor.
Exactly.
You know, I feel if somebody's escaping persecution, I can understand. If somebody's coming to the United States for a better life, I can understand that. But I really feel like they get exploited by people here in the United States.
Yeah, and yet at the same time, if you take all the foreign hands out of the United States will not work. You know, who will clean up the streets and everything?
Oh, I would.
You will go. You'll be obliged to go, my dear. Otherwise, you will not be able to pass your street.
I just got off a phone call and got a chance to speak to my nephew who was visiting South Korea. And he's saying, "Oh my gosh, the streets are so clean over there." And he goes, "But the one thing that confused him was there were no trash cans." And he's going, "Where do people put the trash that they..." So anybody from Korea that wants to tell us where the trash cans are over in Korea. She said it was remarkably clean. The streets were incredibly clean. He had a great time. He just couldn't figure out. He said in America they have trash cans all over the place and the trash is still in the streets. So, all right, should we get to...
You know that America makes more trash than the rest of the world. You know that. We're making more trash than the rest of the world.
Right.
Hey. So what about the fish when they get all that?
Yeah. Let's go. We're
Go to where you want there.
we don't have a large amount of time, so I want to make sure that we go over, because you have 8 core principles.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
And I want to just discuss that, and then we can get into detail perhaps in the next episode.
I don't know, we should start by discussing that before seeing the rest of the Marxism and even we talk very, very lightly about the United States. You know, we come on.
What about
I say something stupid. Everybody knows that oil is limited and is not renewable. Doesn't create itself. Huh? So it's limited, and we have bigger and bigger car than ever. So why?
Well, we're told that it's limited. You can kind of see that we're living on one planet, so your mind would go, okay, it's limited, but we don't know if it is or not. We don't. It could be that the people who control all the oil like to tell you it's limited so they can get a higher price. Right?
Yeah, that's an optimistic way to see things. But there is no way that the Earth is only one and nothing more than that. So if there is oil, even if you don't say exactly how much oil there is, that oil is not renewable. We know that oil cannot reproduce itself, or it needs millions of years. So even if we still don't know exactly how much it is, we know very well that we are spending it, and that our children, grandchildren, and grandchildren, and more people on Earth will need that oil. So the oil, the Earth is not completely, it's a limited area, huh? And the oil is not everywhere. So
It could be self-generating.
no.
Could be. I don't know. I don't know what happens
No.
in the middle of the earth that actually creates oil. I have no idea.
Well, you are not
And,
optimistic.
and there could be a lot more than we're being told, too.
But in any case, my dear, why to build more and more bigger car and bigger car?
Yeah, I'm not advocating that we should continue down the road of
And when
fossil
you
fuel
see-
because it's dirty.
Listen, when you see how many planes are flying every day,
Right.
and you know that planes are the best polluters of the sky.
And the passenger ships, the cruise ships,
Yeah, the cruise ships are disasters.
yeah, they create a lot of pollution. And they never get talked about. The planes never get talked about. And
The army, nobody talks about the
nobody
army.
talks about the army.
You know, I saw the army. I saw that, huh? In front of I don't know 12 or 15 trucks, and it was in the middle of the night, and all the trucks were nobody in the trucks, but all engine running.
Running.
And you know why? And I say,
Because
come on,
they
how-
can.
I say, oh, I said, come on, you don't. I said, if we want the attribution next month, we have to spend all the oil this month. Oh, come on.
Yes.
So if everybody does the same thing, we are absolutely polluting the whole thing. We are destroying the whole thing.
I agree with you.
We are destroying the earth. More or less oil, it doesn't matter. But when you see the trucks going on because otherwise they will not have the for the next months, huh? Oh, come on.
Well, think of it this way, and I'm just being devil's advocate. You have an apple, right? And then you will say, oh, there's a limited supply of apples, right? You eat the apple, it's gone. But it's not. Every year you'll get more apples. Maybe oil's like that. I don't know.
Get more oil.
Could
We
be.
we do not manufacture oil. You
Could be.
You can manufacture apples if you put enough trees that produce apples, but you cannot manufacture oil. No way.
The earth gives everything we need for free. The earth gives everything that we need for free, right?
Yeah.
It gives it to it free. My problem is some people are able to profit off that what's free in nature and other people don't.
So we don't have the time to go into that because it's a big problem, my dear. And it's where I say that there is a difference between the people who have the money and the people who have no money. And a democracy, if you want, a democracy is not a democracy when it's too much like that. There is too much difference. Because those who have all the money can command, those are owning the means to inform the people who have no money.
Yeah, and I also feel like without free speech, you don't have a democracy. If
No, you don't have a democracy.
People don't have
But
a right to express themselves.
That's where we can talk about elections, for example. I don't know if we have the time to talk about that.
Yeah. We had a request from our fan, a question from the audience. You're
Go
ready
ahead.
for it?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Why isn't capitalism a philosophy?
Because
That comes from Anne.
You have no philosophers that took care of the money. The philosophers, they are not preoccupied with the money. They are preoccupied with philosophy, ideas, And so who gets the money? The people who are not philosophers. They are so busy at getting the money that they get the money. They do nothing else. They do nothing else. I quote even there, I have one of my friends, he was a good friend, he's dead now. one day he told me exactly, looking at the guy in the street, he said, if that guy is not a millionaire, at that time a millionaire was already, you're not a billionaire, you were a millionaire. He said, if that guy is not a millionaire, it's because he doesn't work as much as I do.
Right. I don't believe that at all. I've been hearing that my whole life.
That's the reasoning.
Oh, you're not
of a
working
millionaire.
hard enough.
That's the reasoning of a millionaire.
People,
You know,
from all the stuff that I can see, the people that work the hardest have the least amount of money, and the people that work the least have the most amount of money.
yeah, because you need
Just my observation.
you have to use your brains to have
But
money.
they will be, how should I say, snooty about, oh, well, I'm a doctor, so I worked harder than you. What does that mean? We all contribute to this society, and everybody should be treated equally.
Uh-huh.
You know, the person cleaning the streets is doing a job and working hard.
Everybody should be treated equal. But one thing is that if it's society, we say, you know, more or less communist, or all the type of society, we say everybody equal, and that's not true. You have people who are much more intelligent and willing to do something than people who are willing to do something. So you cannot have exactly people at the same level. It's a complete mistake to say a society with the people at the same level. The socialist, all the people should have the same thing. That's completely that's crazy, because once more you don't have two individuals the same. And every individual must have the possibility to express itself and to realize what he wants to realize. Otherwise, the society it's a jail, my dear. It's not really, it's a jail.
Yeah, I can see where you would want to create incentives for people to perhaps work a little bit harder. But like I said, the people with the most amount of money seem to work the least. The way they get their money is either through a monopoly or by exploiting people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do know this. The king will always pay himself more than everybody else.
Eventually, yeah.
They always do.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely.
And they don't have to be a king. They can be
yeah, but the problem in America, once more, which is not a philosophy, the problem is that the people with the money, when you know that very few people with the money, in fact, own the country. And the future, my dear, the future with artificial intelligence and things like that, if they possess that, they will possess all the newspaper, all the movies, they will possess absolutely everything. And they will indoctrinate you or your children the way they want.
So if you look back at the Industrial Revolution as an example, what can we see with AI coming around the corner? Because earlier in the show you spoke about how the people with money had the ability to buy the machines and then ended up exploiting
So
people.
it's where we must create a society that doesn't allow that does not allow to have few people who can direct the society.
So the potential for even more exploitation with AI is a real possibility.
Yeah.
Or people just being left behind altogether.
In other words, and it's where I said the basic, dialectic of the art to create a painting, balanced painting, if you want, is to create a balanced money, that some cannot have too much and some really, even if they do their best, cannot have enough to eat. You have people who starve. I don't say that because they don't work. Whatever reason they starve. But there are much, much more. When you look at the assets of the United States, hey, who gets the big assets? The little group on top. And who has the assets like that? The big on the bottom, if you put that on the paper. So it's where if you want, the democracy, that democracy is illegal, if you want. It's not human enough. It's not humanity, it's money. In fact, what governs the United States is not the brain, it's the money. If you look at even all what your people are talking about, the next to be elected, and it's all about basically money, nothing else.
Well, that's interesting what you just said. The government is being ruled by money and not by the brain.
Yeah, exactly. And it's where I said, you know, when you look at the United States,
Or by the heart, I must say, right?
you have those two completely different things that I always quote also, is that the society, to live free in society, you have to establish a society with laws. You are in a little square here
With
that
love?
are the laws, and inside laws. And inside of
I think
that,
it needs love too.
instead of those laws, you are free. They make you free to do this or to do this or to do that. And you are supposed not to be bad, not to steal, and not to kill. Especially not to kill. Huh? And the other part of the United States is free enterprise.
And brush your teeth once a day.
Yeah, and free enterprise. And free enterprise is the reverse. Is the legal, with all the laws to look legal, is the legal way to kill, really kill the competition. And
It
put
does
everything
seem.
out.
It does seem like markets have more freedom than individuals today.
Yeah. So there is, if you want, let's say a contradiction between the freedom to be free inside society, to have the freedom of speech and opinion, to have all that, you know, and you don't kill, you are a nice guy. And on the other side, if you have a business, you can kill the competition. Kill, there is no other way. You make it disappear, the constitution. With its workers or whatever, you don't care about that. The factory will shut its door and that's it. So this is absolutely contradictory, and it's where they say that there is no, if you want, there is no philosophy to govern the whole thing. There is none.
So you're proposing a new philosophy.
Yeah, and a philosophy which is not new, which is not neither American, nothing like that, which is from the very, 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 very first man who put his hand on the wall of a cave. Because doing that, he realized what he had in mind, and he make it on the ground. So that is, once more, think and realize. That is philosophy. Which the United
He
States,
could have
they
been
don't
just
think.
cleaning his hand off from
They
the
don't.
grapes, but
Huh?
nah, I'm teasing.
You
Um,
got to think.
And you use that as a symbol here in your document, right? I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah.
people can
Oh,
see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, because that's so typical, you know. It's so typical. They make some drawings of animals, and you know, even if we are talking about animals, the animals on the walls of a cave are much more real than the animals painted in the 19th century. That very famous painting, the Derby of Epsom. I forget the name of the painter. The horses, they could not run the way they go. They go like that. It's not true at all. The horses go with their eggs like that. They don't go like that. But in the 19th century, they didn't know yet. They had to have the movie to figure out how a horse was running. And if you see the drawings of the cave people, they knew how a horse was riding. We learned nothing.
Well, okay. We only have about 10 minutes left. The time goes by fast, doesn't it? So let's just do these. You have 1 minute to explain each one of these rules, okay?
No, I cannot.
You go 1 minute. This is the lightning round.
That's too much. That's too much.
No, it's not.
No, you.
So, number one. These are just the general rules of this.
You know,
philosophy?
Before you go.
If you're going to make the lightning round faster.
No, before you go. Marx did the same thing. In fact, he did in 4 or 5 things what you should do.
Right.
And it's I do the same thing if you want.
Okay. Number 1, no armies but associations of nations.
Yeah.
You want to
No
take a
armies.
few seconds to talk about that?
No, you know, hey, it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy. So far, it's just a philosophy. It's not a reality. We have to transform that into reality. You have to. Really,
So you don't believe in armies?
you have to work on it. You really have to work on it, huh? Because all so far, you know, the nation, the United Nations, and at the end of the World War One and all that, you know, all the nations together, they never have been able to get together. They were all together. They have never been able to talk together correctly. So yeah. So when I say that, it's a dream, a philosophical dream, that.
Number 2,
Yeah, go ahead.
government, as many men as women,
Yes,
representatives.
yes.
So it's equal, gender
Yes.
gender equal.
Yeah, because for one very specific reason, is that there are more women than men on earth. And I don't see why. Of course, the women have a different roles than the men, but hey, that has nothing to do with politics. So there is no reason why the women, except that the guy, once more, they have big arms, so they bang on the head of the woman, stay there, you know, so stay in the kitchen. But there is no reason why the women have certainly as many ideas and maybe better ideas than the men. So there is no reason why the woman should not be an equality with men in a government.
Number 3. Do you remember what number 3 is?
No.
Elections with
Yeah.
no private funding.
No private funding. Yeah, because once more, when you look at the American elections, hey, you had that guy who gave $500,000 and this one. What does that mean? It means that me, who have not 1 cent, I cannot absolutely have no influence over there. Now, if I give him $500,000, he will start to listen to me. If I say, oh, I'm broke, stay broke, guy.
Number 4, complete education for all.
Yeah, that's to be a democracy.
I think you might be a typo in here. I don't see free. Free education for
Oh,
all.
yeah, I didn't put free education?
No.
Oh, but that's a mistake. Maybe. It's a big mistake. Free education at all levels, because that's the same thing. You have kids who can go that much, they cannot go after that. Their minds, there are kids that can go that much, or kids that can go that much. So free education doesn't mean that they all have the same education. They have education according to what they can take. Huh?
And people could still go to private schools if they want, but free education, why would you pay if it's free?
Exactly.
Free good education.
Yeah.
Industry.
And
This is number 5.
Excuse me, but education, we still also can read it. What is education?
It could be anything. Because you just want to make a person a good citizen and happy
Yeah,
in
but
life.
to make a good citizen and happy, you have to give him a classical education, historic, whatever you want. You have to give him all the arts. All kids should at least listen once in their life to a symphonic orchestra, which is not true at all.
All right, well,
And
hold on. We're going to go into detail on all of these
you
over
want
the
to go
course
into
of...
detail. Okay.
Because we're not going to have time to go into details. We only have maybe about 5 or 6 minutes left.
Okay, go ahead then.
Because I just want to get through this so people get an understanding.
Okay.
And they will be able to, maybe not yet, but they can get these documents online, and we're going to
I
go
would be
to it.
very happy to have opinions of people.
Industry, collaboration instead of competition.
So you
Goods-
don't kill the competition.
Goods should be made to last. Respect of all natural resources.
Yeah.
I can
That's
agree
very
with that.
simple, huh?
Yeah. So we're not just wasting resources.
Yeah. We don't use, today you buy something, you are sure that 2 years later it's no good anymore. You have to buy another thing. That's part of the economy, to have an economy that is daily destroyed. So you have to rebuy it all the time. Forget that. So because that is that much material that you have to put together.
I agree with you. I try not to buy a new car. I try to buy a used car. If anybody could see what I'm driving right now, they would know.
Yeah, a computer, when you get a computer, 1 year or 2 years after that, oh, it's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, it should be able to last 10 years. Easy.
Number 6.
I don't remember.
No financial markets or money cartels. No too much and no not enough. You agree
You know,
with that?
The financial market are, ay, ay, ay. The guy who at 3 in the morning buys, I don't know, 10,000 pounds or 100,000 pounds of English, this, that, and sells it at 8:15 in the morning because you make 1 cent out of that, out of everything of that. So 1 cent multiplied by millions. Yeah, that's it. That's the financial market.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
This one's interesting. Number 7.
What is number 7?
AI and robots pay for the taxes of the people they replace. No monopolies.
Okay, so you don't work, but that machine works for you. So you have to pay, and the machine doesn't pay. The machine does your work. So why would you be taxed for something that you cannot do? Because that machine does it. So the machine does it, pay for you.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now we're down to the last one. Number 8. Do you remember what it is?
No. And I believe it's else for everybody. No?
I'm making them work.
Healthcare.
Universal healthcare. Hey,
Universal
there you
healthcare. Forget all those. When I see the complications of the American market, it's absolutely incredible. You know, in France, you know, I did it myself. Went to the hospital. When you go into the hospital, they don't ask you if you can pay. Here, the first thing that the doctor asked me if he was able to pay, was not able to pay, he shut the door.
Yeah,
Shut the door.
It's not right.
He shut the door. I went in France to a hospital. They don't ask you. They say, for what are you coming for? Go and see Dr. So-and-so. And when you go out of the hospital, 1 hour, 1 week, or 1 month later, they say, how do you pay? Social Security or personal check? That's it. They never ask you if you can pay.
So we're going to have our work cut out for us in upcoming shows, and I invite everybody to subscribe to this podcast so they won't miss anything. And we'll go through these general rules for happy living as we move forward. There's certainly a lot more to say on each one of these topics. But Michelle, if people wanted to do their homework and read up on this in advance, they can get this document where?
And no pennies. No dash pennies. Yeah.
No-pennies.com.
Or eventually, if they want a printing material, I give an address. I give an email address. They can ask by email.
They can email you?
They can email me to ask for some
And how
copies.
do they email you?
Just email me. It's Michel Mokers
At
gmail.com.
Okay. Do you still have your Facebook going? Your Facebook?
Oh,
There were some issues last week, and you said they kicked you off. And
yeah, they didn't publish what I publish, what I put on. Yeah. You know,
but they can go see you at Facebook. Just search for Michel Mockers.
Yes. You know what is remarkable here? It's the freedom of speech and opinion. When you look at the elections here, who is the elections? Only 2 parties. And that's it. They have all the TV, they have everything, and you vote for the Republican or the Democrats.
I know.
Forget it.
They all of them talk about diversity, but no diversity of political thought, which is why we have this podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we
Come on,
can-
yeah, there is no opposition to say you should. No, absolutely none. They do what they want.
All right, we're going to close out this show. People can still see you on Facebook, at least for the time being, so they better follow you fast.
Yeah.
And you actually started a Twitter account, right? So they should look for Michelle Mockers on Twitter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They can go to the website.
Mm-hmm.
And at the website, there is my address. There is everything on the website. So it's easy to get in touch to have that. You know, it's very easy.
All right, well, let's end this podcast on a positive note by saying it's a beautiful world and we're going to make it even better, right?
If we can, yes.